Through NFL free agency and a little bit with the NFL draft and undrafted free agency, the Detroit Lions did bulk up the defensive line. While we might not have a ton of superstars on that line, we do have DJ Reader, who will no doubt be a force, and Aiden Hutchinson. After that, we also have Aleem McNeil, but after that, it gets a little, not sketchy, but the star power is not there. And I was thinking this the other day, but I had yet to talk about it, that the Detroit Lions, their defensive line is going to be like the 04 Pistons, where if you guys remember when the Pistons beat the Lakers 4-1, nobody gave us a chance. Even myself, I didn't think we were going to beat Shaquille O'Neal in like pretty much his prime, man. That was prime Shaq. I thought the Detroit Lions had no chance, that they would probably win one game, yet it was the Lakers that only won one game. And I thought, you know what? This defensive line is going to be like the going to work Pistons of 04. Not a ton of superstars, a bunch of people thrown together to make a team that's capable of winning the championship. And there's a guy on that team that Bleacher Report thinks that the Detroit Lions could very well move on from. And you see him on the thumbnail, John Cominsky. They had an article, one player that each team could trade, and our player was John Cominsky. Now, before I give you my thoughts on what the Detroit Lions could do, here's what Dan Campbell had to say about John Cominsky. Says he handles a lot of jobs for us. He handles the big end. He can play three technique inside. He's really one of the keys for us setting up our rush game when we get in the third down and some of those things. He's physical. He's got push. He can separate and he can play the run. He's a little bit of the unsung hero for us on the D line. Well, that right there is a reason, in my opinion. I was going to have you guys wait to the end of the video, but I can't do that now because that is all of that Dan Campbell said is exactly why John Cominsky would not be traded. Now, remember, he did recently, last year, he signed a deal. I remember watching the interview with Danny Rogers, and he got super emotional, had just had a kid, and him and his wife were talking about how they get to settle down and kind of put roots down in Detroit with that deal. And then back in March, right after the start of free agency, he was one of the players to take a pay cut to stay in the city. So you're talking about he gets a 2-year contract. I think it was $5 million or so. Then he takes a pay cut, and I believe it was reduced to 2.5. Why would he be traded? Why would the Detroit Lions, all that stuff that Dan Campbell said about him, and I believe him 100%, John Cominsky, this guy played with a club on his hand back in 2022. And even when his hand was healed, he kept the club on because he would have them tape up his hand because he felt like he played better with it. Why could he be potentially the odd man out? Well, he already took a pay cut to stay with the team. So that already tells you that the Lions might have some value in them, that the defensive line might have gotten better, so much so that a guy like Kaminsky could be on his way out. I'm not saying he is. I don't personally think it's going to happen, but why could he be? Well, it's because of the competition. Kaminsky has competition for snaps across any role he fills on the Lions defensive front. That's either DT or DE, namely Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, Mekhi Wingo, and Matthew Betts. We'll make a video about him in a minute. Not that he'll be cut outright, but his role could be small, and there will be teams on the lookout for defensive line depth. So this is the key right here. A reduced role. He's got competition, a reduced role, which he did have last year, and other teams needing defensive line depth, which is a strong possibility. So I'm going to make a case to why I could see it happening and why I couldn't see it happening. I couldn't see it happening because of all the stuff Dan Campbell said about him. And we've seen John Cominsky. He was one of the fan favorites after 2022, when he stuck around. And remember, the Lions, I believe, actually claimed him off waivers from the Atlanta Falcons back when he first showed up in Detroit. There was a lot of like 1-year deals going around at the time. So I wouldn't see him being traded because you can never have too much defensive line depth. We've seen that. And all the dirty work that John Cominsky did. I mean, like I said, this dude played with a club on his finger. Now he did, I'm not going to say regress, but he had a minimized role last year. It wasn't as big as he wasn't as prevalent as he was in 2022. Now, that would be why he wouldn't be traded. I don't think he's going to be cut outright. Why would he be traded? Future capital. Future capital. This is his last year as a Detroit Lion. Took a pay cut already. Are you going to, if they gave you the right pick? As a matter of fact, put it in the comment section below. If somebody offered you what would they have to offer you for you to take a offer to trade John Cominsky away? Would it be a 3rd round pick? Would it be a 4th round pick, 5th, 6th? What would it be for you to trade away John Cominsky? Or are you like, you know what? He's one of the guys to help us get here. He's too much of a anchor, right? I'm going to let him finish out his contract with the Detroit Lions. Which one are you? If you're a trade him, how much would it take for you to trade John Cominsky? And if you're a keep him, then put the reasons down in the comments below. I don't think the Detroit Lions trade him, nor do I think he gets cut. I think John Cominsky is one of those guys. He already took a pay cut to stay with the team. And in my opinion, the only way that he would get pushed off the team is if all those other guys are better than him. Mekhi Wingo, Marcus Davenport, Josh Pasco, Levi Onwuzurike, Broderick Martin comes alive, right? We have a plethora of defensive tackles. James Houston, Matthew Betts that was mentioned before, if as far as defensive end, if he gets pushed down. But then again, if you can't fill a role on the 11-man roster on defense, if you can't fit in that rotation, guess where you better make use at? Special teams. And we already saw, according to Dan Campbell, that he does some of those things, right? So I don't think John Cominsky gets cut. I don't think he gets traded. But I'm going to put the question to you. What do you believe is going to happen? You think the Detroit Lions are going to keep him? You think they're going to trade him? And what would you like to do? If somebody offered you a what pick for John Cominsky would you take? There will be some people that will be, I'm going to keep it a buck. I think that Levi Onwuzurike has a worse chance at making the roster than John Cominsky. I think we would see Levi go, even though Dan spoke highly of him today. He did. All that's funny. All that's fine. We trying to see on the field, and we know it's going to be some extremely difficult cuts come August, right? It's going to happen. And if a guy like Levi or John was to get cut, that means that our team got better. That's what that means. So I think John Cominsky makes the team before Levi Onwuzurike. Both guys are in the last year of their deal. Levi, a former 2nd round pick that is on his way out. I do not think he's a Detroit Lion this time next year, because he would need a new contract. And right now he hasn't done anything to earn one here. And I think John Cominsky is just too valuable. Even though he didn't get a ton, he didn't equal 2022's numbers. I think that he is much more likely to be on the team than Levi Onwuzurike. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Wanted to shout out Dirty Money. His name wasn't on the member list yesterday, but that situation was corrected. Want to shout him out. Want to make sure I show some love there. And in case you didn't see it, to all I thought there was a 3-month badge. I always get confused. There's a 2-month badge. This is the 2-month badge. So I want to shout out all my new members, all my 1-month members. And here's a 2-month badge. Obviously had to go with the Mafia theme, right? That is silver. So in case you haven't noticed, let me show you something, because I don't think y'all knew this. I don't think you knew this, but you will after today. Okay, so I have the new member badge. This is their version of Honolulu Blue. So that's a new member with the Syndicate hat. Then the Mafia hat. Then if you are a 1-month member, you get this here. Now, this is, I believe this is silver. I was going to do bronze, but I think this is silver. And then what is, man, I got to look these up. They're slightly different, but they're different colors. So this one is silver. And then this one is, I believe this one is platinum. Don't quote me on that, but that is what we got going on there. So I want to say thank you to all my members. If it doesn't matter what tier you are, I appreciate you. The reason that the Syndicate directors are on the page is that because that is one of the perks that comes with that membership. But thank you to all my Syndicate director, all my Syndicate executives, and all my Syndicate recruits. I do appreciate you. That's how we can get fancy shots and fancy cams and fancy mics and fancy screens and all of that stuff, man. I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. If you've been here before, my returning viewership is through the roof. So it's a lot of people that may not like what they see, but they keep coming back. I think I just got that relatability. You know, as much as I scream and yell and rant and sweat and cry and yell some more, I think I'm relatable. And I think that's why people, even though they say they'll never come back, they wind up coming back. Plus, I'm pretty good, right? I'm pretty good at what I do. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below about John Cominsky. Now we got to talk about another guy as well that's been turning heads at training camp, or I'm sorry. What are we at? Mandatory mini camp, camp, OTAs, whatever. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.